You want to know the biggest thing that impacts your IT program operational execution? Deferral. Let me tell you why. Let's jump into it. In big IT and data projects, there are always things that are most important now. Yet, there are also always things that are very important that need to be done, but aren't as critical now. So I put them in category A, most important now, and category B, just as important, but not critical now, at this second in time. Let's say you're building out a data platform for some operational analytics. You need that near real time data flowing into your third party repo to be accessed by a third party application. Depending on the phase of your project, your category A, which are the things that someone has deemed most important right now, could be the overall design, the architecture, POCs, or just completing your development sprint, having some development to demonstrate to the end users and to the business at the end of the sprint, and the QA testing that goes along with that. Fair. It's very important to get that business functionality in place, but you also have category B. And category B is critical as well. It's just not the most critical now as deemed by the people in charge of the project. This could be your security hardening, security implementation, privacy, testing those controls, getting the governance in place, load, performance, scale, and the testing and validation that goes along with that. And there's more. Often category B is seen as not less important, but not important now. We'll defer it and do it later. Defer, endless deferral. That's your category B. And that happens a lot. And what happens next? It gets deferred, continually deferred. Now you're closer to launch. You want to get these things done. Now you think you have an opportune time to do it because all the core functionality is done. I mean, the core functionality was never a higher priority in terms of what needed to be built because it all needed to be built. Otherwise, it can't go live. These are not just nice to have pieces of functionality. These are things that are deemed critical for the launch, but you're running out of time now. And you've got, let's say, 10 show-stopping bugs that come in the last month, and you're 1 month away from production. Now, that's a challenge. Now, you've got to work on these very critical, highly visible issues. Leadership of the project is scrambling because they didn't get all this other stuff done that's important and critical that could have been done at any time throughout the project or at scheduled intervals throughout the project. And boom, executives are worried, and you start focusing on getting these show-stopping bugs resolved. But what about the other stuff? All the things that were deferred throughout the project. Those category B items get deferred even more, and it's getting too late. And I want to be clear, like these category B items are not just nice to have pieces of functionality. If we get to it, they're a nice to have. No, if they were a nice to have, they would be in a nice to have bucket, which is a different bucket of work that has to be done. These were requirements, things that need to be part of the launch. It just wasn't as critical to get them done at a certain point in time based on the priorities of the project management. And then you get to the point where you've neglected something for 6 months, 12 months, even longer, and now you don't have the cycles for it. I mean, who could have thought of that would happen? I mean, it happens all the time. And I mean, often people, like in their normal daily life, they don't get to things that are less critical at this particular time, and they defer it as well, such as, let's say, your financial planning. How many people in their 30s, 40s, 50s don't actually have a solid financial plan? Something they think about, but they never get to it because it's never that important at that particular time, even though it is important. And we see that same kind of phenomenon that affects operational execution within an organization. If you want to execute more effectively, it purely comes down to leadership and execution. And anything in that category B, even if it's not a big priority right now, fit that in, throughout the project and make sure to execute. Make sure those things get done, because deferring is too easy, deferring it to the end. And it happens a lot and is always a surprise every time. So let's say you have a project, 18 months. All those category B items fit in here, 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 and here, so that you're not dependent on the need for a 2-month block of time right at the end when you're not going to have the cycles for it. And when, if any issue comes up in those items, you've now introduced that additional risk right at the end of the project when you don't have the capacity or cycles to properly mitigate it.